This news has hit me really hard, and I'll reserve further comment until I have time to process.
Like, this is like a nuclear bomb went off in the Liberal caucus.
If you haven't heard the news, Chrystia Freeland has resigned from cabinet and essentially told Trudeau to go kick rocks as she finally realizes that Justin Trudeau is only and all about Justin Trudeau.
Let's take a look. So we first learned about this via the Globe and Mail, where they reported that Chrystia Freeland resigned as Minister of Finance. Now, what is really, really interesting and frankly shocking is what the total resignation actually means. So Chrystia Freeland ended up posting this on her Twitter feed. It reads, "To the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau. Dear Prime Minister, it has been the honor of my life to serve in government, working for Canada and Canadians. We have accomplished a lot together. On Friday, you told me you no longer want me to serve as your finance minister and offered me another position in the cabinet. Upon reflection, I have concluded that the only honest and viable path is for me to resign from the cabinet. To be effective, a minister must speak on behalf of the Prime Minister and with his full confidence. In making your decision, you made clear that I no longer credibly enjoy the confidence and possess the authority that comes with it. For the past number of weeks, you and I have found ourselves at odds about the best path forward for Canada. Our country today faces a grave challenge. The incoming administration in the United States is pursuing a policy of aggressive economic nationalism, including a threat of 25% tariffs. We need to take that threat extremely seriously. That means keeping our fiscal powder dry today so we have the reserves we may need for a coming tariff war. That means eschewing costly political gimmicks, which we can ill afford and which will make Canadians doubt that we recognize the gravity of the moment. That means pushing back against America First economic nationalism with a determined effort to fight for capital and investment and the jobs they bring. That means working in good faith and humility with the premiers of the provinces and territories of our great and diverse country and building a true Team Canada response. I know Canadians would recognize and respect such an approach. They know when we are working for them, and they equally know when we are focused on ourselves. Inevitably, our time in government will come to an end. But how we deal with the threat our country currently faces will define us for a generation and perhaps longer. Canada will win if we are strong, smart, and united. It is this conviction which has driven my strenuous efforts this fall to manage our spending in ways that will give us the flexibility we will need to meet the serious challenges presented by the United States. I will always be grateful for the chance to have served in government, and I will always be proud of our government's work for Canada and Canadians. I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues as a Liberal Member of Parliament, and I am committed to running again for my seat in Toronto in the next federal election. With gratitude, the Honourable Chrystia Freeland." I can't overstate the significance of that resignation letter.
Yeah, there's a few things in there that stuck out to me. Number one is that she's been offered another position within cabinet, but has said, no, I'm not taking like some pity party prize and going to this other position. I'm completely stepping down. Now that means a 33% pay cut for Freeland if she's stepping out of cabinet.
Right. And this also means she's not just stepping down as finance minister, she's stepping down as deputy prime minister as well, folks.
Right. So I found that very interesting because I think somebody who's 100% morally bankrupt would have taken that other position maybe just to keep the salary. And she did the opposite, which I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised at.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. And, you know, she obviously saw that Justin Trudeau is most likely intending on offering the finance minister position to Mark Carney as an unelected official. That's the only real reason that this move would happen now, is that Trudeau goes to her and says, okay, I want you to step down as finance minister. We're going to be bringing in Carney, and you can, have this consolation prize. Maybe you can be minister of sport. How'd you like that? And, Freeland shows an ounce of integrity and says, no, piss off. What do you think this is? I've been the good soldier for you for 9 years, and this is how you repay me. Well, Freeland, you shouldn't be surprised, because look at what he has done to every other person who has actually stood up. And I guarantee you, one of the only reasons that Justin Trudeau asked her to step down as finance minister is because she was telling him, no, we shouldn't be doing this.
Right. And that was another thing I noticed in her letter about these political gimmicks that Canadians can see through. I think she's talking about the $250 check scam. Or it's not a scam, I shouldn't call it that. But the $250 rebate that's supposed to be going out to working individuals sometime in the spring. Canadians can't afford that. That's got a price tag of over $4 billion. I mean, this GST/HST holiday, if you want to call it that, has a smaller price tag of, I think it was like $1.6 billion. And Canadians are seeing through that. So what's this $250 check going to do other than try to buy votes?
Well, and, there were stories reported earlier, I believe it was by the Globe and Mail, where they were saying that she was even against this GST holiday because it's not going to do anything. And, this also confirms, folks, that the Liberal Party isn't stupid, because she says there, and she says it for all to see, which is very interesting as well, that they know darn well when Canadians can see that the Liberals are working only for themselves versus for Canadians. And, that's a shot very close across the bow to Justin Trudeau that basically says Canadians have seen through it and they've had enough. And she also admits that their government is done. She says that. Like, the government will inevitably fall. So she sees that.
The writing's on the wall. I don't know how you can't know that. I mean, Justin Trudeau and maybe some of his inner circle still think that they can win the next election, but the Conservatives have been up over 40% for over a year now. That's a really tough nut to crack. I mean, I don't know how the Liberals are going to come back from being so low in the polls for so long.
Right. And there's going to be no sympathy for Freeland across the political landscape, because she's the one that's been, essentially nodding her head, smiling, and doing Trudeau's bidding all of this time. So there's no real sympathy for you, Freeland.
No, absolutely not. I think if she maybe makes amends over the long term and does try to actually work hard for Canadians and get things done, like maybe in a number of years we can say, okay, she's learned her lesson and she's repented and tried to do the right thing. But right now, no sympathy.
No. Now, if the government continues, there's a couple of interesting consequences here. She can now be summoned to committee because she's no longer a minister. She is no longer in cabinet, so she can be forced to go to committee and answer some questions.
Right.
But the other interesting thing here is this is a major blow, because she's like the top person that was in the inner circle of Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, she was his right hand.
Yeah, so this is a huge blow. And I don't think anybody else in caucus was expecting it. And if you want proof of that, check out the reaction of some of the other top cabinet ministers in the inner circle of Justin Trudeau when they heard the news.
Chrystia Freeland is a good friend, someone I work with very, very closely as president of the Treasury Board and Minister of Transport. This news has hit me really hard, and I'll reserve further comment until I have time to process it.
I wish her all the best. Look, these are difficult and deeply personal decisions, and obviously she's made that decision, and I respect her for it.
Premier, you must be concerned about the resignation of Chrystia Freeland today.
Well, I think we all are, but again, this is a time for the premiers to step up, which we're going to, and project unity across the country. And again, we have great premiers, all different locations from coast to coast to coast. And I'm blessed to be chair and have a great team right there with us.
So obviously the most powerful reaction from that was from Anita Anand. I think she was vying in competition with Chrystia Freeland, but they're obviously very close friends because you could hear her getting very emotional at the end there.
Yeah, you can hear it in her voice for sure. Yeah.
And so this wasn't expected. And given the fact that they're such good friends, she didn't even know that this was happening probably until this morning. So this is huge, folks. And I think this signals that this government is like, it's collapsing. And the question is going to be for the NDP. All right, let's just run through this. So the NDP voted against Jagmeet's, labor right words in the non-confidence vote. A couple days later, the Liberals say, great, that's done and out of the way. Now let's end the Canada Post strike by asking the CIRB to do what they're going to do. So they've done that. It was announced that the $250 check is not going to be in the budget. So that goes against what the NDP was asking for, which was
that everybody get one pretty much.
Yeah, especially seniors and people on disability. So they're not going to get anything now. So that flies in the face of that. And you have the finance and deputy prime minister resigning because she's essentially saying Trudeau doesn't have a handle on spending and doesn't seem to care about the bigger picture and is only caring about himself, which is again what Trudeau has been projecting against Pierre Poilievre in question periods, saying, well, he's going to focus on himself and I'm going to focus on Canadians. Well, your deputy prime minister seems to think you're only focused on yourself, and she would know.
Well, there's one more blow coming to the Liberal Party later tonight, which is the by-election of Cloverdale-Langley, and they are expected to go from a Liberal seat to a Conservative seat. So I think that just further illustrates the downfall of this government.
Well, and the other thing is what does it say that Chrystia Freeland didn't even want to present this economic statement today? It's that bad that she doesn't want to be anywhere near it because she's not taking responsibility for it because of Justin Trudeau.
So who does it?
That's the question.
Is it the Prime Minister now that has to deliver this economic statement?
It may need to be.
That's going to be rich.
It may need to be, and they may not even address it in the House. They just may table it for as a document, and that's all there is to it. But the funny thing is even if Mark Carney was the finance minister, he couldn't present the document because he's not allowed in the House.
Right. He's considered a stranger to the House is the proper term. Now, there was one more thing that I found very curious about Freeland's letter, and that was that she said she's going to continue to run for University Rosedale in the next election.
Yep. Tells me she's going to be making a leadership bid.
Do you think so?
That's what that tells me. Do
you think Trudeau will even sign her papers now that she's publicly embarrassed him in this manner?
Who knows?
I mean, she just called his $200.50 check rebate a political, what was it? A
political gimmick?
Yeah, political gimmick. Thank you. So I bet he's really upset about that. And the other thing is he's running out of females in his caucus to throw under the bus, right? Like, this is Freeland's the next in line after Philpott and Wilson Raybould to be thrown under the bus by this man. And what female MP of his caucus is going to be like, oh, I want to be in the cabinet now. Pick me. Not thinking that, this could happen to me too. Why would I destroy my political career for this man?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And she definitely handed him a grenade right before the Christmas break, because what are people going to be talking about now until next,
sitting?
The next sitting, which is going to be at the end of January. They're going to be talking about the deputy prime minister resigning, the finance minister, who was the deputy prime minister, resigning, and Chrystia Freeland calling Trudeau out and saying you're only self-interested and you're not interested in working for Canadians. Never mind what is expected to be a disastrous economic statement. So it is. This is like a nuclear bomb went off in the Liberal caucus, and they were already coming apart at the seams. So, a united cabinet? I don't think so, Justin. Ladies and gentlemen, we might be on the cusp of of an election in the spring. So stay tuned, because it's about to get extremely bumpy from here on out.